Cooper a lot.
Tony fuck 12 fuck SWAT. Busting all the bells out the box. I just hit a lick with the box. Had to put the steak in the box. Pour up the whole damn field. I'ma get lazy. I got the mojo deals. We been trapping like the 80s.
The Box by Roddy Ricch. Number one song across the world right now.
And the number one album across the world.
He does. We're seeing him live February 17th in Toronto.
Sir.
Can't wait. I believe it's February 17th.
Oh, I thought it was way earlier.
Or maybe February 7th.
Yeah.
Alright, February 7th. Roddy Ricch live in Toronto.
Come by.
And when he performs The Box, that crowd gonna be crazy. Can you believe my brother had the audacity to say, yo, I listened to that song by that guy you listened to. I don't understand what he's saying.
Who, Roddy Ricch?
Yeah.
He's not
I was dying. I was like explaining the chorus to him. I'm like, this is what he's saying. This is what he means.
It's probably honestly just the slang that's getting him.
Yeah, he has no idea what's going on. All right, this is In the Mix, episode 26.
Yes, sir.
Adis Kuchkovich along my side, Jay Boyle. And it's going to be a great show, man.
Oh, yeah.
We got
a lot of controversy to talk about.
We got tomorrow, UFC 246. Connor the Notorious, who has become Connor the well-mannered McGregor. I don't know what's going on with him. And taking on Donald Cowboy Cerrone. Well, I don't know. People are saying they want 2014, 2015 Connor back. Listen, I'm happy that he's changed and he became. He seems at least.
Do you know what this shows? At least there are people who questioned him before. How real the beefs were before.
Yeah.
You know, he's not gonna just beef with you just to sell pay-per-view. He's beefing with you. He said that during the press conference too. He's like, well, because they were kind of like, why aren't you like doing what you used to do? He's like, well, the other guys, we kind of had that going, you know.
Yeah.
We didn't like each other, so like, what do you want me to do?
We're gonna start with that, but we'll also get to the latest in the MLB scandal surrounding the Houston Astros and Jose Altuve and Alex Bregman wearing a buzzing device on their arm to steal pitches. This shit just gets crazier and crazier as the days go on. More stories are coming out.
Was it on the arm?
It was on the shoulder, not on the shoulder. A fake Carlos Beltran's niece is the one who exposed this, and a lot of people think that this is a player using a ghost account and didn't want to link back to them, so said that it was Carlos Beltran's niece. Beltran family has said they do not have a niece by that name. Then we got media in Toronto and outside of Toronto were out for Jersey's blood a couple days ago. It's kind of blown over now because they realized how off they were.
I would have been too if that shit was true.
No, but like if you think critically about it, as I'm gonna explain,
it didn't make sense to me.
All the evidence was against it, and people just disregarded that because they want to see Drake fail, in my opinion, as he said in his Rap Radar interview. If you watch that, we're also gonna get into the Vegas Golden Knights' questionable decision of firing Gerard Gallant. We'll give you our picks for the NFL championship games going on. You got the Titans taking on the Chiefs. Do the Titans really have any chance? Is what we're gonna discuss. And Packers and 49ers is billing up to be, you know, a huge game, as we thought Packers and Seahawks would be, but it was really one-sided. Hoping this one gets better. And then we'll discuss if the Raptors do make some moves at the deadline, what do they need? We know, I've been telling you, they need a small forward, upgrade an OG Anunoby, but you think they have other needs they need to address. So we'll get into all of that. But we're going to start with UFC 246. Before we get into what we expect from the fight, man. Are you buying this change from Connor McGregor that we saw first in August in his Ariel Helwani sit-down interview, where he was claiming that he was a changed man, and now obviously it's an extension of that, and he seems very calm. He only swore once, I think, at the whole press conference yesterday, which is unheard of. We saw him in Toronto with Floyd Mayweather, and it seemed every other word.
The thing is, you see with that Mayweather thing, it was such brilliant marketing because
it was trying to sell the fight.
People were almost like, "Oh, who's winning the press conference battle?" That's not even a battle.
That was as much.
That's just they were just traveling to kind of sell the fight everywhere.
That was as much of a discussion as who was actually going to win the fight.
Exactly.
So,
but
are you buying this change?
I don't see a change in him.
What are you talking about?
I'm telling you, his opponent. What?
But him and Cowboy used to have they had issues.
The only issue they had was that one time in that press conference, but that's only because a little guy's saying that a guy in the upper division that he's basically nothing. So obviously you're gonna beef a little, but I don't know. If he knew, if I go in there and I start trash talking Donald Cerrone, I start going off on him, saying all these crazy things, he's not gonna buy into it. This guy's old. This guy's been fighting. This is 52nd fight, 52 fights.
I believe he has like the most fights in UFC history and like the most wins as well, just because he's fought so much.
Exactly. So this guy's not gonna buy into trash talk and all that. He's just gonna keep it professional. He's like, okay, say what you want, but we're gonna fight at the end of the day.
And
That's not gonna sell a good pay-per-view. So Connor knew, just be yourself. And again, like I was saying, when it was with Khabib, when it was with Jose Aldo, they had real beef with each other. This wasn't we're just gonna do this to sell the fight. I know Connor in the ring said it to Khabib. It was just business. But at the end of the day, those guys had they hate to this day, they hate each other. And it showed after the fight, they still couldn't stop fighting, you know?
Yeah.
And it's not that kind of situation here. That's why it's not a new Connor. It's just the first time we're seeing Connor fight someone who there's mutual respect.
He doesn't hate. Yeah. And he said that. He said, I mutually respect this guy and what he's done. But as you said, just want to build on that.
Yeah.
Sure, Connor is well-mannered and everything now. Wait until, if it happens, he gets that Khabib rematch.
If he wins this fight, because they're going to feed him that Khabib rematch right away.
I don't know if they will. I think that UFC might be hesitant to see that 2.0 and what it could cause.
Dana White came out and said if he beats Cerrone, he's next for Khabib. But Khabib's
got to agree.
Khabib's got to agree. Exactly. And Khabib has said, no, I want to see him fight 10 fights in a row, win all 10, and then he can fight me.
Okay,
again, which is not
listen, Khabib is acting like he's Connor McGregor.
Yeah.
And he holds the cards. You may have beaten him, but we're still talking about the number one superstar in the history of the sport.
But you get why, though. Because he was saying that he wanted to come in, beat Conor McGregor, take him out of the game, and change it back to almost just for fights and respect the sport. And take out the trash talk. So now he's kind of like, oh, you guys are trying to put Connor back against so he can do all this shit again with me.
Okay, cool. But when the UFC was that pre-Connor era, how well was the UFC doing? It's not as well as they're doing with Conor McGregor and during his era.
And to be honest, I know 2019 was a great year and stuff, but I kind of missed it.
You missed it.
I missed Conor.
You missed Conor McGregor's theatrics, and just even with him acting polite, you're still looking forward to in the ring madness.
Exactly.
And the one thing I want to ask you though, it's the fight game. This is not baseball. It's not basketball. You know, hockey to an extent is similar, but do you think that you need to have that animosity? Go back to Andy Ruiz versus Anthony Joshua. Joshua had no ill will and didn't really care and took it lightly. 2.0 rematch. Well, now you're pissed off at this guy, right?
Saying, like, the fighter need it?
I'm saying, does the fighter need to have that little extra juice, and can that impact Connor's fighting style? Is he gonna come out like against Jose Aldo 13 seconds and try and knock somebody out?
I don't see that. With fighters, you're getting paid to fight. You're getting set. This is your job.
Yeah, but he says it's not about the money for him.
No, but I'm saying
so what's the external motivation
to fight is always there. Of course, animosity stuff adds, but sometimes it adds in a wrong way. Cause look at the Khabib fight. Connor went straight at him.
He lost his technical sense, right? Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. You know, there was no. It was almost as if he didn't care to get like everyone knew you're gonna get taken down and all that stuff. But it was almost like he didn't show the respect. Like, I understand that you have to push the guy back to not get taken down, but the way he was doing it is just, you know, maybe if a little more strategy was put in place, he could have fought a little better. But I don't know. I feel like the animosity is not needed always with these fighters because they already have a reason to fight. Again, like, this is their job. As much as it's not for the money, they're not doing anything else. They're training all year round for something.
Dana White thinks people are underestimating Cowboy Cerrone. Would you agree? And what are the odds you give him on Bet365 and everything?
I had this argument with my brother. No, they're not underestimating Cowboy Cerrone. The guy's coming off 2 losses in a row, and his last loss, he just got knocked out in the first round. I'm sorry, but to me, if the best Donald Cerrone shows up, he still does not beat Conor McGregor.
Now, Cerrone's a guy kind of,
unless the worst Conor McGregor shows up, where he's just completely flatlined.
Which Conor says is the best he's felt in his life, so I doubt that's going to happen. Now, Cerrone's a guy similar to Diaz in the sense where he gets better the later the rounds go on. Yeah. Conor's a guy who likes to go for that early knockout, but he's been saying he's not really looking to... Yeah. He wants to get some rounds under his belt because he wants to get ready for the 2020 season. He's treating this like... Which I like that mindset. It's interesting. I've never seen a fighter take that approach.
I like it.
Now, he says he wants to get rounds under his belt. Do you think that's the right move, or he should just go and look to finish this as soon as he can?
He's looking... Because he's hoping that either Khabib or Ferguson gets injured, which is in March. So if he wants to fight again that quick, he better hope that it's.
Well, he said he could fight 3 or 4 more times in 2020.
Yeah.
Do you think that's a load of crap?
There's got to be this. No, if it goes the way his fights have gone in the past, and he doesn't really get touched up much, and he finished the first 2 rounds, Easily. He can easily do that. And I'm telling you, a guy like Cerrone has a slow start. This is a perfect guy. The way he stands so stiff and tall, and the way he throws his punches and shit, it looks so just made for Connor. Like for
Connor
a guy
to
like
just
Connor,
end
a
him.
counter puncher, someone who's just gonna pick him apart. I see it go. I'm saying first round. I see it ending.
I think it's going third.
A little lackluster.
I think it's going to third round.
I think it's gonna be a little lackluster.
I think Connor's gonna.
People are gonna expect a lot
I
more.
think Connor's
than what
gonna
they're
feel
get.
him out. I think he's gonna feel him out and see where the fight takes him.
Maybe
He's gonna work him down, and then he'll come and try and hit him with that thunderous left.
Yeah.
And keep in mind though, he's got that big left hand.
Yeah.
But why was it that he didn't fight in July? He said he was
got
ready.
injured,
He
yeah.
broke his left hand.
Yep.
So could that have some lingering effects? Is he gonna have the same power and the trust in that hand?
Here's the thing though. He's fighting a guy who a few months ago was just knocked out in the first round. He's had 52 fights. I don't care who you are, as a fighter, as a
Takes its
boxer,
toll.
and in football and basketball, age is gonna catch up to you, and damage and injuries and all that stuff's gonna catch up to you. He's not fighting a up and coming young guy. He's fighting a guy who just got knocked out in the first round.
And who was Donald's last fight against?
Justin Gaethje,
All right.
who's not a big name, but is also another guy that
Yeah,
they
but
were
people
wanting-
are saying that Connor
they
was
wanted
running
Conor
from
to
Justin
fight.
Gaethje.
Yeah, I don't believe that. I just know that Donald Cerrone's a bigger sell, so he obviously just chose him. And he kind of promised Donald Cerrone that a few months ago, when Donald Cerrone was on a 2-fight win streak. He kind of said, "You know what? For performance like that, I'll fight you."
Listen,
kinda like,
if I'm Connor McGregor and I haven't
you
fought
know?
in the octagon in over a year and a half,
you're gonna choose a guy like Cerrone. He's coming off 2 losses.
a guy who gets me just back into the flow of things, let me
Exactly.
knock this guy out.
This is what I
get
feel
my
like
legs
it is.
back under
But hey,
him.
I could be completely wrong. Connor gets knocked down like the first round, and then we come back here and I say I'm an idiot.
Not to the extent.
But I'm just saying.
Listen, it's not to the extent, but this kind of reminds me of your guy Steve Rolls going against Triple G, and
Yeah.
Triple G saying, "All right, I need to just have a buffer fight before it gets me back to the point where I need to be at."
Yeah.
And it kind of gives me that feeling from Connor's perspective and Triple G's
Maybe.
perspective.
Yeah, but that's completely different though, because Donald Cerrone's been around.
I mean,
Donald
yeah,
Cerrone's
but
a big name.
It's so the opposite where Steve Rolls was a little name,
Yeah.
but you know he could kind of fight. And
And just-
Cerrone's an older guy who's been, a
The
battering
thing
ram.
also with that though is they chose a guy who went from fighting locally to fight in the biggest stage now. So not only is the fight gonna be a problem, now you got a whole lot. You got different aspects coming at you. You know, you got the big lights. You got all these people now. You got people talking
Lights
about
might
you.
be
You
too
got your
bright.
name being tossed around everywhere now. It's kind of like, whoa, like everything just changed overnight almost. Well, Donald Cerrone though, he's been in these big fights before.
Yeah.
And every time he's been in these big fights, he's been finished. There's a big reason as to why I feel. Because he even said
So
in
you're
the press
saying
conference,
he's
he
the-
said, people keep telling me every time I show up for the big fights, I lose.
Yeah.
So he's like, I'm here for the biggest fight, so let's see what happens.
So you're telling me he's the mixed martial arts version of Kirk Cousins?
Almost. Because he does so well at being normal. You know, at being average compared to everyone.
He's really good at
He's
being
good, yeah.
average.
But then every time they shot him up to a title shot or even a big fight where people were watching, like the Nate Diaz fight, for example, when he fought, again, he just, he put on a lackluster performance. He gets just outstruck. He just gets everything, you know? He's beat up.
Okay, before we move on, if Connor wins this fight, would you rather see him go fight, potentially Masvidal in that division?
Yeah.
That's the 170 division, right?
Yeah.
Which this
Which
fight
is
is
what they're-
taking place.
Yeah, but against...
In the
Good call.
170 division, just give it a minute.
Yeah.
Or would you rather see him go back to the 155 and go the Habib route?
So you want to know why the fight's at 170?
Well, it opens
From
up
what I've
options
heard.
for him.
No.
It opens up. That's what he
from
said
what
too.
I've heard is, so this Khabib and Ferguson fight that's happening in March
Yep.
has been, they've been matched up together 4 other times, and all those 4 other times, one of them gets injured, one of them pulls out.
Really?
So what his coach was kind of saying, what their idea is, cut down to 170. You fight at 170. You feel comfortable at 170. It makes cutting down to 155 in March so much easier because you're already a bit lighter.
Well, Connor says he
You
walks
actually
around
are.
about 170.
Yeah, and not even that. For this fight, he was saying that he's gonna weigh in a bit under. I think the weigh-ins just happened too.
Well,
So I don't know what he weighed in at, but it makes it a lot easier because you almost, instead of having to lose 30 pounds, let's say, now you only got to lose a few, and you just fought, so if you're gonna stay at 170, cut 10 more pounds, 15 more pounds, you're good. You're back
Yeah,
to your fighting.
just last Friday when he had Ariel Hawani sit down 2.0. He said he was just a shade over 160 and had to put on a little bit of weight. But he said also, Donald Cerrone, I think he's also right. He doesn't look right at 155. That guy looks like he's stretched thin. So he's making it more of an even fight. And I don't think he wanted those excuses where, oh, you brought him down to your division and you smacked him around at 155 where he's not used to and didn't have the same
thing is,
strength.
Donald Cerrone's fought also at 172. He's had way more fights than Conor McGregor at 170, but he fought Jorge Masvidal and stuff.
Yeah.
He does not look good.
Correct me if I'm wrong. Connor's only 175 was Nate Diaz.
Yeah, twice.
Yeah.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. Like, he has more experience at 170, but he's also not the best at 170 either. So you're watching two 155ers fighting at 170.
My one concern with Conor going at 170, if he wants to get Ryan's under his belt, those Nate Diaz fights, we've always said with the Floyd fights, Diaz fights, and Habib.
Yeah.
He tires, and in the later rounds, Conor loses his effectiveness and kind of loses his head.
Mm.
And at 170, that's more of an issue, obviously, than at 155. Yeah. So we'll see how that goes, and I think he's smart for coming in. If he's around 165, 167, I think that's a benefit to Conor.
The thing, though, with that tiredness stuff, there's this GSP's coach, Faraz Sahabi. He explained this so well with Conor. He has great conditioning. His conditioning is top of the line. When you fight that kind of style, no matter who you are, it's a fight. You're getting tired. By the 5th round, doesn't mean he has a cardio issue.
Okay, but
he
why
fights to knock people out?
But why going against a guy like Nate Diaz, who obviously is not in the same shape as Conor McGregor, and they're both at 170? Does Nate Diaz seem at round 4 and 5 that he's gained energy?
Nate Diaz is a triathlete, meaning he competes in triathlons regularly. Him and his brother. They fight for the later rounds. Like he said in that Jorge fight, he was like, for me, the fight's just getting started in the 4th, 5th round. That's what they do. Conor McGregor is the guy who finishes fights. So now, seeing him go 5 is impressive, as is. But for him to get tired in the 5th round, 4th round, it's completely normal because of the fight style.
All right.
I don't buy into the whole that he has...
I'll trust your professional opinion there.
He's a millionaire. You know, and what he's done in his career, you're not getting tired because you're just not training enough, you know?
No, I didn't think it was anything to do with him not training. But he did admit the Habib camp, he didn't really train.
Yeah, I don't know if I believe that too much. I always hear that excuse after you lost. I never heard that excuse after a win.
Now, the only thing that I found very interesting about him, speaking about that Habib camp, was saying that he had a bunch of guys that he was just holding up in a hotel in Vegas, wherever he was. Yeah. Right? He'd go, and he would have a full-out war with one of them and beat the absolute shit out of them. And he'd win every time. Then he would disappear for 3 days before coming back. And he didn't say what he was doing, where he was going. I'd like to think he was probably enjoying the pleasantries of Las Vegas.
But you know what?
And that's the things, and that's the stuff he was saying, that I was doing stuff I shouldn't have been doing and I couldn't resist.
You know who's the best fighter right now in the UFC? John Jones. Before every single fight.
How can you say he's best fighter in the UFC?
In the world. When's
the last time he fought?
John Jones?
He fought kind of recently,
July.
but before... Okay.
But no, it's a while. But that's only
because... You can't even tell me he's the best fighter in the world when he's had how many doping and issues.
Yeah. Okay, no. All that aside, he's the only one that's made his division obsolete. No one cares about his division because everyone knows that he can beat every single guy in his division easily. On and off night. You know what he does before every fight?
Coke? Because that's clear.
The weekend before, he goes crazy partying, drinking, coke, everything. Just so if he were to somehow lose the following weekend, he can give himself the excuse that, I partied too hard last weekend. And that's the reason. He has yet to lose. You know how crazy that is? That this guy, before every fight, is just destroying himself, basically. Like, some guys, these guys who are top-level fighters, they're kind of crazy. Something's off in them. And
for sure.
It kind of works. Conor McGregor, it works because he's crazy. You don't know what he's going to do to you when you get into the fight. So a lot of guys kind of get hesitant when they're ready to fight him because they're like, whoa, what the fuck is this guy going to do? He talked all his trash to me before. He said that he was going to kill me, take my head off, all this stuff. So now they're kind of like, whoa, what's going to happen? I feel like it kind of worked in his favor in some way.
UFC 246, Saturday night. You can get the pay-per-view through ESPN.
Yes, sir.
We're hoping it's going to be a great one. I'm sure we'll
watch it somewhere.
Yeah. Hey, we can't promote illegal activities here.
I'm not promoting it. I'm saying so you can buy it and stream it. I don't know.
You buy the pay-per-view. All right. We're moving on to the Major League Baseball scandal that's taken place. All right.
That's crazy.
This has consumed a lot of my last 2.5 days following this, reading all the information I can because it's so mind-boggling as to how the Houston Astros, one, had the stomach to do these things in a sport like baseball where cheating is so frowned upon, and you go back to the steroid era.
Frowned upon, but I feel like it's so...
No, there's an extent. Like I was telling you.
It's almost... cheating, I feel like it's almost like it's normal in baseball.
No, I don't know where you're hearing this information.
Wise,
okay, and that's Barry Bonds will likely never.
Things I'm hearing about reading signals, it's kind of like
that's fine.
They've always trying to figure out a way to cheat.
Yeah, to get a competitive advantage. Take Barry Bonds for example quickly. Greatest player of all time, likely never gonna be in the Hall of Fame because of steroids. Okay, but besides that, having a guy on second base, a runner on second base, and him deciphering the catcher's signals because he's not hiding them well enough, and relaying that back to the batter, no problem with that. Because you're not getting an unfair advantage. That's just using your brain, your skills, against the catcher who's got to do a better job hiding the signals, using a better code. Yeah. But what they did with putting a camera in center field at home, installing a video screen in the hallway from the dugout, and then when the camera gives you the feed, using a battering ram to hit a big water bottle or the top of the dugout,
garbage can or something,
to relay the signs. That's excessive. And then the latest allegations that Jose Altuve and Alex Bregman, two of their best players, Jose Altuve, a former American League MVP, widely regarded as top 3 player in the league, has been wearing an electronic device on his shoulder at home.
Terrible job of hiding it too in the past.
You know, that picture is misleading. You can see clearly something's on his shoulder.
When his shirt kind of opens, you can see him. I thought I saw something on his chest. That's why I thought it was on the chest.
Probably a necklace, but there's a picture that shows something like just under his jersey. Yeah. Right? You can see this press there. If you haven't...
Holding it like this, bro. What are you... Like, you're just giving it away at that point. I'm sorry, but you're holding it so tight saying, don't rip my shirt, don't rip my shirt. Okay, there's a reason.
If you haven't seen the video, I highly suggest to Google it. Yeah. As I said, Jose Altuve hits the home run. Now, this is... We're not talking 2017 anymore, where the original allegations stem from, and the sanctions were handed out for Major League Baseball to the Astros organization. This was the American League Championship Series. To go to the World Series, Altuve hits a walk-off homer, rounding the bases. When he gets to home, as custom in baseball, they always rip off the guy's jerseys because they're celebrating.
That's the thing, yeah.
And he's holding his jersey together, and you see his lips saying, "Don't rip off my jersey." And it looks like he's saying, "I'm wearing a piece." Now, could it have been...
Great job.
No.
Like a gun?
No. I saw somebody suggested maybe that he was mic'd up for the game.
Yeah.
And I was like, MLB would have known that, and they would have just come out and said that.
Oh, like
how they do in the NFL and stuff.
But I feel like
I've never really seen that in baseball.
Would you care much, though? Let's say...
No, if that mic got ripped off, who cares?
Exactly. So then he wouldn't be holding it back. Don't rip my shirt because I have a mic. Who cares?
And then you see the picture from the same
Obviously
game with it on his shoulder.
Yeah.
And then as soon as the home plate celebration's over, his whole team gets the T-shirts. They're going crazy on the field. He decides, I got to run into the dugout and take off my jersey and put on the T-shirt instead of putting it over my jersey for whatever reason. Then when Ken Rosenthal, who says he didn't even realize that, his producer in the ear told him to ask the question. Obviously, the producer noticed something. The best is his reaction when Rosenthal asked him, "Why didn't you want your jersey ripped off?" He goes, "Sorry, what?" And he asked him again. He goes,
"What?" Just sweating.
I don't know. I'm shy. My wife yelled at me last time. All right, I'm gonna be honest here.
That's a lie.
If either way, which one is true? If your wife is saying your shirt can't be ripped off because she's shy for the way you look, you got bigger problems, my friend. And if it was true that you're trying to hide the mic, well, you got even bigger problems because you're about to get the book thrown at you by the MLB.
Men are such assholes, man. Just keep blaming the woman. Right? She had nothing to do with it.
It's crazy how far wide it's spread through the league.
I know.
Obviously, Astros had their general manager and their manager suspended for a season. Both fired within the hour. No first and second round draft picks next 2 years and a $5 million fine. Alex Cora,
enough, though?
I think it's going to get steeper. The things they're going after, they gave the players immunity in a sense by saying, talk to us and explain to us what happened. We won't go after you, we'll go after the people who orchestrated it. Right?
You can't do that, though.
I don't think you can. And especially to the other players in your league are not going to accept that. But Alex Cora relieved mutually parted ways in Boston. That's a fancy term for, hey, we're going to fire you anyways, we can do this good PR. Because he was apparently the main guy who orchestrated everything in Houston. And then won the World Series in 2018 for Boston after winning in 2017 with Houston. Cheaters win. And then
cheaters win.
The funniest of all this is Carlos Beltran. veteran player on the Houston Astros, apparently one of the main players who was taking part in this,
Yeah.
was just hired for his first managerial gig as the New York Mets manager in November. Has now stepped down because he knows he's about to get suspended for a year or two, and he'd be fired anyways.
Some questions.
From an outside perspective,
Yeah.
guy who's not a huge baseball guy, what do you make of all this? Do you think the fines are enough? Do you think,
No.
do you think the punishment should be deeper?
It should be deeper because at the end of the day, they won the game. So like, all you're doing is, it's almost like I was trying to relate it to something, but you're just dealing with the aftermath. It's almost like what I learned in business. Like they put in this thing. The corporates gotta be like corporations stuff gotta be responsible.
Yep.
But all they do really is just deal with the aftermath. So after the event really happened. So at the end of the day, you're not preventing anything.
Mhm.
Teams are still gonna do this now. All they're gonna do is, let me figure out a better way to not get caught next time.
Well, no, I
If
don't
you're
think no team is gonna try with electronic devices ever
Not
again.
electronic. That's
Ever
what
again.
I mean. So now it's like, okay, you know what? Electronic devices we got caught with. What's next?
But that was a warning in 2017. Originally, when the Red Sox or 2018 were
Exactly.
accused, and the Astros.
Clearly, did that work? In 2017, that happened. Now we're talking about this in
Well, because you know why? So the Astros players
You know?
had all in their meetings with MLB said, eventually we got a guilty conscience and we stopped it before the 2017 postseason, yada yada,
Yeah.
right? Well, what they stopped was perhaps, hitting the garbage can because that was too blatant, and that's really that's a terrible way. Just every team's gonna hear that. Everybody in the front row is just banging, right?
Yeah.
And they said they never done it again. And then obviously this comes out about Altuve and Bregman in the 2019 playoffs. Now let me give you these numbers that make it as clear as day that even though Altuve denied it to his agent and MLB said that they investigated players wearing devices, didn't find anything. Obviously they're going to take a second look at it. I would hope so. These stats show how blatant it was that the Astros were still cheating in 2019 playoffs. Jose Altuve, for beginners, his batting average at home, 472. Okay, if you're an all-star at top of the league, you're hitting 300. This guy was crushing the ball above that, 472, unprecedented at home in the playoffs. Do you know what his average was on the road? 143. You don't have a job if you're a 143 hitter. You're not even in AAA. You're in AA, right? But you get reliant.
Maybe he feels the energy at home.
No, you get reliant on that help, the technology,
exactly.
right? You don't know what pitch is coming anymore. And it's crazy to me because it's a guy who was renowned as one of the best players in the league. All right.
Well, now you know why.
Alex Correa, another guy at home, ripping the baseball off the seams off the baseball. 371 at home, 211 on the road. Alex Bregman, 273 at home, nothing crazy. But you look at his away batting average, 154. And this is the best one yet.
So at the end of the day, all of them are doing way better at home
Yeah.
than they're doing on the road. What's the last one?
And sorry, this is from the 2017 postseason. My mistake. And then Jared McCann. So they had originally said they didn't do it in the postseason. 300 at home. You can't even fathom what his average was on the road.
100?
Lower.
Okay.
0.37.
I don't watch baseball and all, but like this is obvious to me.
0.37. What?
That's 0.37?
0.37.
I got some nerves going on the road. Holy.
That is
I could do better.
ridiculous. Less than 10%. So that's how far
crazy.
this stretched. And that was 2017. And I haven't found that. I'm sure if you looked at the 2019 splits,
So what did they do in
Be pretty
2017?
they won the World Series.
No, I'm saying penalty wise.
These are the penalties from 2017 because they didn't know what was going on in 2017.
Oh, so they didn't penalize them.
No, there was just
okay.
like rumors and players talking about that they had suspicions.
Okay.
MLB actually
Then
started investigating this
3
year.
years later, they're still doing it. That's what I'm saying. What you're gonna okay?
Well, they were never caught yet.
So the penalties you read out. What's it called? The GM manager got fired. They got fined $5 million, which is like
Nothing
pocket
to
change to them.
Yeah, Major League
They
Association.
lost the first, second round draft picks. Okay, that probably hurts them. The GM suspended for a year. Former assistant GM. I don't know. It's not enough to me. Because who did they eliminate? In that game where he was holding his shirt.
The American League Championship I can't recall it this time.
Camera. Well, whatever. That team that they eliminated and their fan base, you lost them. I'm sorry, but once they find this out, you lost them. Why watch? I don't watch baseball, but from the outside looking in, why would you watch it? You lost a big fan base, and you lost. And if you're a competitive player, if you're playing on the opposite team, why am I gonna try? If that's what we need to do to win,
They beat the New York Yankees.
Huh?
That's right. They beat the New York
Yan-
Yankees.
Huge market.
Yeah.
Insane. How do you think the New Yorkers are gonna react now hearing this?
You know what? If it was any
Put
other,
a
if it was any
freaking
other market,
boycott on freaking
No.
MLB.
if it was any other market, this is how much of a non-baseball guy I am. Any other market, I would give credibility to what you said. Because the Yankees,
What?
that would never happen. That's the biggest baseball market in the bloody
know.
world.
But
And
the
and there's
anger
and
will
those
be
fans,
felt, bro.
those fans are like Cowboys fans. Cowboys fans act like they're Yankees fans, right?
Okay, but
Yankees
act like-
fans are like, yo, it doesn't matter because now that you can't cheat, we're gonna come and whoop all your asses next season.
Okay,
And
but
the Yankees probably will. They're the best team in the
they're just
American
gonna
league.
figure out a different way to cheat. This is what I'm saying.
No,
This
I think you're
keeps
totally
going
out to
on.
lunch on that opinion there,
I'm telling you, it's gonna keep happening. This seems too
dude.
prevalent to me. Just keep.
First of all, even if Altuve and Bregman and those guys were given immunity,
yeah.
there's no way that immunity covers them themselves wearing electronic devices. Okay, first of all, so when it comes out eventually, the books can be thrown at them. I would not be surprised, and I would ask them to suspend each of them without pay for the next whole season. Okay, and do you think players after that are gonna be like, yeah, let's go cheat? If we get caught, I'm gonna lose all my pay for a season and not be able to play. And then managers, what are managers gonna be? They're gonna be like, AJ Hinch said he did not participate, but he knew about it and didn't stop it.
Yeah.
Do you think he's gonna be like any other manager? Be like, oh yeah, cool, go ahead. AJ Hinch lost his job and got suspended for a year with no pay, and then got fired. No big deal. General manager, same thing. Oh no big deal. Go ahead. Carlos Beltran, who's the veteran player leading it, he's out of a job now too. Alex Cora, who was leading it, he won a World Series since then, and his World Series doesn't mean shit now because Red Sox are being investigated for cheating, and he's never gonna have a job in the MLB as a manager again.
Okay.
It won't happen. I don't know where your opinion's coming
But
from.
the results are there still. They won it in 2017. They won the the championship game this year,
Yeah.
going to the World Series. It's that hasn't changed.
Yeah,
at
but the
end of
way
day.
baseball players think is different than hockey, football.
and a lot, how much
or
a lot of them are
basketball.
getting paid
It's
stupid. I
them-
feel like a year of no pay is not going to affect them too much.
Listen, baseball players and fans are so much about the honor and integrity of the game
Yeah.
to the point where they take issue of Marcus Stroman doing unorthodox movements on the mound, just trying to switch up timing and different leg kicks,
Okay.
and him fist
then
pumping
why-
after striking out a guy.
Why was something like steroid use or reading signals and stuff? Why is that such a reoccurring issue?
Steroids isn't that
If
steroids isn't I don't think as big of a problem now. Obviously, you don't have the biggest names in the game juicing,
Yeah.
but there's still, every season, couple minor league guys, couple major league guys end up getting suspended. The most notably as of recently was Braun after winning an
Bro.
MVP.
once that freaking possible World Series thing is thrown up there, morals are thrown out the window with some of these guys. I feel, fuck it.
Yeah,
why
for
not?
sure. There's
Like,
always
if that's
that's
gonna
in
get me
life.
there,
There's people who
yeah.
go move on the
But
other side of the
that's not even
line.
just people. I'm saying teams like the Astros. If that's gonna get us to the World Series, let's do it. You know.
The
They
most-
feel bad. Oh, now they feel bad after. Oh, no, now they're resigning. They're doing all this after they get caught. It's kind of like you catch a thief and now he says, "Oh, I didn't mean to do it," and then you find out later he's been stealing from you for a year.
Yeah.
So it's like, did you or did you not? Like,
One of
is
the
it-
most
do you
disappointing
care or
things I
not?
haven't seen many people talk about, for me at least, is 2017 to 2019. What the Astros did
Exactly.
was remarkable. Not the cheating part, is their performance on the field. Like, I was in
Remarkable
awe.
cheating.
I love watching Astros games because they had amazing starting pitching, obviously,
Yeah.
which wasn't impacted by the cheating, and then amazing hitters up and down their lineups, right? Altuve, Bregman, Correa, sorry. You go up and down. And they're so fun to watch. 2 World Series in 3 years, which usually doesn't really happen in baseball
fun to watch
unless
at
you're
home.
unless you're the New York Yankees, and that's all now. You don't know if did you really need to do this when your team was that loaded, or did we only think these guys were so good because of the
that's what I'm
cheating?
saying, yeah.
So that stuff, answers we'll never know until this is all over with, and we see Altuve next time on the field if he's
Without
still
cheating,
top
yeah.
3 player in the league or not. Based off his 2017 home and road splits, I don't think he will be.
That's crazy though.
All right,
The center, I still can't believe the camera.
that's
they
the
set up.
easiest part. I keep telling you, that's the easiest
I
part.
know, but like, there's no, because then you can do that with almost any sport. Read playbooks and stuff like that. Not playbooks, but like whatever they write down the chart, whatever
Yeah, but-
plays they're making, and somehow get into an earpiece. or through something else. I don't even know. They could probably put a fan in the stands who's telling the coach all this.
Okay, sure, but
You know?
at least the NHL and NBA coach is not allowed to have an earpiece in their ear.
I know.
NFL, obviously, they have the headsets on. MLB, he's not allowed to have an earpiece on. That's why they have to be creative. Now, the one thing, former New York Mets general manager, something Phillips, who works for TSN, had said the GM was complicit, even though he says he had no knowledge, because you have to put an order for the camera installation. He would have had to sign off on that order, according to Phillips.
Yeah.
So he at least knew about it, or at least didn't ask the right questions, didn't want to know. Don't ask questions you don't want the answers to.
Yeah.
It's a whole shit show. It's a shame. And anything else you want to say on this topic before we move on to Drizzy?
This is why I don't watch baseball.
You don't watch baseball because it's boring and you don't know a single player's names because they don't market any of their sports.
I wouldn't put that
Players.
disrespect on any sport with saying that it's boring. It's because I don't understand. I don't understand the rules and all that stuff. The reason. I would say
the reason why you don't watch baseball, and the vast majority of Canadians and North Americans right now, is
Blue Jays suck.
Well, that right now, right?
Yeah.
But is the reason you can't name 2 players in the big leagues, could you?
That's not on Blue Jays?
Yeah.
No.
And that is because their marketing system is the worst out of any sport. Yeah. MLB took all the rights away from YouTube and Twitter and all those athletes organizations. They do make the most money.
Yeah.
Right? Because there's a loyalty fan base and their TV deal is so huge. Well, their TV numbers are struggling.
They don't have a cap either, do they?
No. TV numbers are struggling. In attendance live at the park, numbers are dropped in the last 3-4 years.
Oh,
so
for sure, yeah, I can imagine.
they have a problem. They don't know how to market their players because of their current laws and systems. Like Mike Trout. Mike Trout, the best player in the world, could walk into a bus full of sports fans
right now.
No, obviously you wouldn't know who he was, but he could walk into a baseball, a hockey rink, basketball court, anywhere in Canada, North America. Vast majority of people would have no idea who he is.
It's hilarious. That's so true because he walks into my store. Tyler Ennis walks in. I didn't recognize him.
You know Tyler Ennis, who played what? Maybe a total over 6 years. He's played 40 games in the NBA.
Yeah.
He walks into Abercrombie. You're like, yo, that's Tyler Ennis.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? Mike Camilleri, retired from the NHL for probably now 5-6 years. Walked to my buddy, works at Scotiabank office downtown Toronto.
Yeah.
Starts texting me, yo, Mike Camilleri at the office. Right? He's not even a hockey fan. You know, Matt, this guy does not watch hockey.
Exactly.
Mike Trout walks in. Nobody in that office knows who he is. And it's the best player in the league and arguably the best player of all time.
Exactly. It's sad, but it's MLB's problem.
All right. Drizzy Drake. They out to see you fail.
Motherfucker. Sorry.
All right.
Sorry for the language, but
I don't want to act too heated as I was.
Reaction when I was told that this was a true story.
Yeah, we were texting. I'm not going to be as heated as we were when I was talking that day, or the tweets I put out on Twitter and got some replies, people saying...
I didn't see that.
Well, you're off Twitter now, I believe, these days, right? But if you somehow were unaware, Ramona Shelburne did a story on how Kawhi and Paul George teamed up and how that came to be. And the part that raised the eyebrows of people around the world, especially in this city, was that Paul George and Kawhi Leonard, originally PG said he texted Kawhi congratulations on the championship. Then it spurned on from there. And then he said they met twice at Drake's house.
It sounds like a relationship.
And there's no other context really in the story about that specific part.
Yeah.
Right? So, Toronto reporters, ESPN, TNT, North America wide, we're calling for Drake's head. I saw lots of people saying that the Raptors should sever ties with him. He should lose his position amongst the front office. Now, I'm not going to give you all the reasons why that was wild to me to think that Drake was helping Kawhi flee the coop and go team up with Paul George in LA instead of Toronto.
Anyone has common sense,
right?
Anything.
I'm not even going to
stupid.
Get to the fact that Drake wasn't in LA at that time. He was in Toronto and I believe was Dominican doing a video shoot.
Yeah.
But that's besides the point. There's all these other mitigating circumstances that people just disregarded to even acknowledge and think about, right? Like, Drake was being a friend and let Kawhi stay in his house because you can have your meetings here because you live in San Diego. That's kind of far from LA. A few hours drive.
Of course, yeah.
All right. But what I want to focus on is, why do people go after a guy like Drake without even looking at the common knowledge? Like the reason that I said we don't need to get into, it's not like I'm an investigative guy and I know Drake's secrets. It was common knowledge of where the meetings took place, and they were in the Shelburne story and everything.
Yeah.
And it's very clear as day that Drake had no part in sending Kawhi and Paul George to LA. And if you think about
First
it,
off,
the
why
Raptors were
would he do that?
exactly, and we all know the Raptors were in on Paul George. They didn't want to give up Pascal Siakam. Kawhi was not going to only LA with Paul George. He was going wherever Paul George ended up, Toronto or LA. So why do people go after Drizzy Drake
Yeah.
like that? Why do you think that is? Without
What do you
any
mean?
common sense.
Why do they go after him when he's celebrating his team winning a championship?
Yeah.
Same reason. But what I'm getting at is, okay, if you've seen Drake last year, and this is where probably big hate from the American fans came from for him, I've never seen a man happier than 2019 when the Raptors won a championship.
That whole playoff
Why
run.
would he himself
Sabotage.
orchestrate something to destroy that?
Well, I'll tell you why, because people think this whole Raptors fandom is just a marketing ploy.
That's the dumbest thing. You can see it in his voice, bro. When we won
Chips with the dip.
when we won the Eastern Conference, and he said, "We're going to the finals. Let's go, Raptors."
No, after game 5, he said, or game 4, he said, I promise you a Canadian team will be in the NBA Finals.
I've never, bro. You can hear it in the guy's voice. That was not written down. That wasn't planned or anything. He was just, I was speaking from the heart. He was genuinely so excited. And what you're telling me now? Oh, that's what, just an act, so that people can be like, people from Toronto be like, oh, he really likes us. No, he's from here. That's how he is. People hate him because he's from Canada. He's from Toronto, and he put Toronto on the map almost. You know, everyone from the States. I got it from my uncles too in Portland. They came down here. They're like, oh, you guys have that rapper just, you know, acting out and all that stuff during games. And why do you guys hate on him? Because we're winning. And like, if it was the other way around, let's say Gucci or like one of these other rap or Meek Mill at these Philly games was doing that, you wouldn't hear the same thing.
You know, I think there's...
Because a lot of the media that you're hearing hate from is American media.
No, like I told you, there are well-respected NBA reporters in the city of Toronto who cover the Raptors saying that Drake's position with the Raptors should be abolished.
Oh, God. Yeah, because they bought into the story. As soon as I heard it, I didn't believe it.
And then Ramona Shelburne came out and clarified, like, look, as far as I know, Drake was doing a friend a favor and said, extend an olive branch, hey, you can be your home base because you live in San Diego.
How
And
else are you going to keep a guy on your team?
I said we don't need to go through these reasons, but it
Yeah.
makes so much sense for Kawhi to do that in Hidden Hills because it's a gated community. He can control who's coming in. No media will be there. No media even knew up until this story that
Yeah.
his meetings with both the Lakers and Clippers took place at that house as well. Now, the disgusting part to me is all of this comes off stigma of a rapper. People want to think, you know, a rapper can't do this, even though, you know, Jay-Z went and became a billionaire and been a businessman, and P. Diddy and all that stuff. First of all, Drake's not even a rapper, all right? He's a musician, raps on some songs, but he's more R&B and singing, and you can't really call him his profession is a rapper. You can't do that, but and still the stigma is associated to Drake for whatever reason. But to me, he's the first one. Other than Jay-Z owned 5% of the Nets, but that was ownership. He's the first, what you call him, rapper, to have this association with a big-time sports franchise in one of the major 4 sports. All right, and not just an association with them, a position in management. Right, he owns the name to their practice facility, has his own jersey and court, and has his own night, bloody 6 times a year.
Exactly.
Relationship with all the players, and the biggest knock on him you could have up until this point is, as you said, is that after a few too many alcoholic beverages, he had a funny, weird, hilarious rant he went on, and that he's too passionate of a fan. That's what I said, it's hilarious.
Who isn't though? Yeah.
And that's the biggest knock you had on him, and people just want to see him fail because they can't believe that a black rapper is in this position doing this amazing things in an area where, you know, white people predominantly are in those positions.
That's true.
My opinion, I don't like to bring race into it, but
Yeah.
it's the combination of him being black and being a
It's
rapper.
always in it, though.
People don't
You know?
people don't want him to see.
People don't want to
don't
bring
wanna
it up.
see
Don't want
that.
to mention. It's always in it.
Let's be real.
It is, but also at the end of the day, this is Kawhi. It's his decision. Let's say this whole story is true. At the end of the day, that means Kawhi wanted to leave regardless. So why does it matter? I don't understand why it matters. It's where he wants to go is where he wants to go. Drake can't influence that. No one can influence that.
Drake tried.
We're
Drake
talking about Kawhi Leonard here. We're not talking about Damian Lillard or someone that's in with these all these like media outlets and stuff. No, it's Kawhi Leonard. He keeps to himself. Drake probably used it as a way to keep him in Toronto, saying, "Hey, you can use my house." Almost.
Well, that was another way I think for the Raptors to show, like, yo, we got you in every facet possible,
and we appreciate you, right?
Yeah,
Because
you
it's
need
kinda
a
like,
home
you know
base
what?
for free
Yeah.
agency.
Go.
Yo, nobody will even find you at my house, bro. It's a gated
it
community.
ain't fake love that he shows Kawhi
Yeah,
Leonard. You know, It's
media
not like,
can't even
oh,
get into that community, and you control everybody who's gonna come and see you and know that you are there.
You know what it is? The media. That's what the media does. When you have something for them, is when they'll give you something. The fact that Drake did that for someone who they're saying, oh, left Toronto, they're like, oh, that it has to be something.
Have to be
now behind
shady.
the scene. Yeah,
That
No.
Drake.
it's called
It's
genuine
scummy and-
friendship or genuine like love for the guy. You know, he's like, yeah, you can use my place, no problem. Like, why
it's-
is there a problem?
The
I
craziest
don't
part to me is that
understand
people forgot that Paul George could have easily have been in Toronto if Pascal Siakam was sent back in that deal. He would have been a Toronto
I know.
Raptor, and Kawhi would have still been here. It's that simple.
this.
So
That's crazy.
it's not like they were just planning just to go to the Clippers. The Raptors were in that mix there,
Yeah.
right? Yeah. There's one more other thing I want to say, but escaped my mind. No, there's no issues with Drake here. I'm happy Ramona Shelburne. There's nothing on her. People just, she didn't need to put all these details in her story, in my opinion, so she didn't. And people just took it, got a life of its own, and ran with it. As Drake said in the Rap Radar interview, man, people want to see him fail all the time.
Of course.
Right? Narrow blinders on, coming at him.
Yep.
All right. Time to shift focus. Another whack story. It's not even a story. This is the facts. Gerard Gallant, the best expansion team coach in NHL history, took his team in the first year of their franchise existence to the NHL Stanley Cup Finals. It's never been done in any sport.
Yeah.
Football, baseball, basketball, whatever. Expansion team going to the finals their first year.
Yeah.
Okay? And then last year, they make the first round. They make the playoffs, losing the first round in a hard-fought 7-game series against San Jose, who San Jose was a really good team, ended up going to the conference finals.
Exactly.
This year, it's not even like they were terrible. They were 24-19-6 in the second wild card position, going to make the playoffs. It's just the last month they hadn't been as good. They're a little bit below 500 the last month.
Yeah.
And they fire him. It's not only that they fired him, but it's who they hired in his spot. Pete DeBoer. Should have told you to read up on this. But it's the San Jose Sharks coach of last season who got fired from San Jose earlier this year. They are arch rivals. Hate each other. The San Jose and Vegas Golden Knights too, and Gerard Gallant and Pete DeBoer. Like, way to stick it to a guy. Not only do you fire him, but you hired the one coach that he probably absolutely hates.
Is it worse than him?
That he called a clown during the playoffs. That they had a
petty,
war
bro.
of words with.
Petty, bro.
And you went and hired this guy. Now, from an outsider's perspective,
Yeah.
do you think, given that resume of took the team to the Stanley Cup Finals, last year to the playoffs again, this
was
year they're
just
in the
about to
playoff
say,
spot,
Everything
Do
you
you think-
just said.
do you think he earned the right to play out this season?
But I feel like everything you just said is the reason why they got him out. Because first
Explain.
season, take him to a Stanley Cup. Again, like you said, no other team's done this. This is crazy.
Yeah.
Next time they go around, they get eliminated in the first round. Oh, okay, so we're seeing some kind of a downfall. But what the hell? We're supposed to be the Las Vegas Knights. You know, we're the freaking top team. We've done stuff that no other team's ever done. And then this year, now they're a wild card. So I felt like they, as much as like the drop is not big for like any hockey team, it's like, well, you're still in there. You're still competing. You're not like dropped all the way down to the worst team in the league. For them, I think their expectations were unrealistic. It was almost like, no, we got to be at the Stanley Cup position every year.
Exactly. And
So, as
their
soon as
management
they drop,
came out
Let's
and
change.
they said it was the urgency to win as a reason why we made the coaching change.
Yeah.
And to me, that's like, it's total opposite of what they should have been doing. They have been blessed with good fortune and great luck. And you've only had 2.5 years of your franchise history, and you think the urgency is to win. Now you fire a coach because you're only in the wild card spot, man.
I don't get
Only in
it.
the wild card spot. Go talk to the New Jersey Devils. How bad they've been the last couple years. Go talk to Leafs fans and their management.
Yeah.
Are you kidding me? And the craziest part to me is obviously George McPhee done a wonderful job building that team to the expansion draft. Great, right? But if anybody should have been fired or job should have been in question to me, it's George McPhee, not Gerard Gallant. Okay? The way Gerard Gallant had this team playing to their capabilities in year 1 was changed by George McPhee in year 2 and even more in year 3 because of his moves.
Mm.
Vegas was one of the quickest up pace teams in the league their first season. They were going blowing up and down that ice. That's the way they played. Get it quickly out of their zone, up to the forwards, and away you go. And then you go out and you trade for Paul Stastny. Older guy, not a good skater at all. Slow. And he's not having a great season. You give him good money, you re-sign him. You sign him in the offseason. Okay? Then you go and trade for Max Pacioretty. Again, good player. Older guy, can't skate well anymore. Slow. And then last season, the deadline, you go and trade for Mark Stone. Great player, having a great season. Not that old, but his whole career, the only knock on him has been he's a crap skater. Okay, so you take your team from being one of the quickest in the league, playing that style, to now giving them 3 of their top 6 forwards are guys who are exceptionally below average skaters.
Yeah.
3 of your top 6, that's half your top 6 forwards, can't play to the system that the coach had success with. So is that more on the coach
I was gonna say,
or the general manager
yeah,
who's not realizing these are the reasons why we had success in year 1 and we shouldn't stray away from that? Number 2, you have a great goaltender, Marc-Andre Fleury.
Yeah.
But why has he had to been so great? It's because since your organization has been founded, your defense has been subpar. And what have you done to improve your defense in 2.5 years? Absolutely nothing. So you change your MO on offense. You do nothing to improve your actual weak area. Because year 1 and the first half of year 2, you had no problem scoring goals. Your problem's getting the puck out of your net.
Yeah.
So you improve the complete wrong areas, change your MO on forwards, which is your strength, and then the coach gets the can. When the system he had in place was working, and the GM goes and changes that.
I was gonna say, I just read this. He's the 7th coach so far this season to be fired.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Is this this is not normal, no, for the NHL to be the 7th coach changes this early?
Well, it's not this early. We're a little bit past the half part of the season. Nobody's fired really second half.
But what's the reason? Why is the coach constantly taking all the blame now?
You know why? St. Louis Blues.
That's what I'm trying to get at. So is there there's a change in?
Well, it was just
league,
everybody.
or is it just
whenever you fire a coach? I think in any sport you get a bump up.
Yeah.
Right. That's what they call in hockey. It's then your next 8 to 10 games, the team's gonna be on a high because you feel real motivated, right?
Yeah.
And the Blues obviously fired their coach and went on this historic run last season from last in the league to the best and win the Stanley Cup. So I think teams are trying to recapture that, and they saw some success with other teams doing it this season. Toronto had a rejuvenation.
Exactly.
But Toronto was out of the playoff spot, and they'd had a stale coach for 4 or 5 years.
Now that they brought in this Pete guy, they start going.
He was fired earlier this season in San Jose.
I know, but let's say, bro,
it's ridiculous.
Situations there's perfect for some guys and wrong for some other guys. What if he comes in now to the situation in Vegas and the team just rejuvenated and just becomes one of the top teams in the league?
Oh, like I said, they'll have
teams doing this now after.
Yeah, for sure.
Exactly.
They'll have an 8 to 10 game bump, and then they'll kind of level off to what they actually are, and then we'll see. Not what they used to be. Then we'll see what Pete DeBoer can have them doing. But to me, it's just the question should have been asked more about management than coaching. And you have to also consider Marc-Andre Fleury, stud goaltender, left the team for about 3 weeks because his father was quite ill back in Montreal. Yeah. Right? You lose your starting goaltender for 3 weeks. I don't know a lot of teams that are going to be able to, do really well. Malcolm Subban's a decent backup. He's not a starter. He's not Marc-Andre Fleury. And since Fleury came back, his father's still sick. It's clear his mind is not in the game.
Yeah.
He hasn't been playing as well. So there's other mitigating circumstances that they just chose to dismiss.
Ignore.
And I feel bad. Gerard Gallant's been done dirty twice now. The first one in Florida wasn't as bad as this. This one was terrible.
Yeah. He's named the coach for the All-Star game too?
He was the coach for the All-Star game.
Oh my god, that's kind of awkward, no?
They had a great start to the season. And then, like I said, they had 4 or 5 tough weeks. Half of those without their starting goaltender. And they canned them. And now Rick Tocchet from Arizona will be in the All-Star game. And if I'm Seattle, who's coming into the league in 2 years, another expansion team, I'm calling Gerard Gallant and saying,
pick him up.
What do you want? Here's the money. You did it with that expansion team. You obviously know how to get the young guys and bring a team together.
Yeah, it's not going to hurt them.
Yeah. All right. We're getting there on time. Let's wrap up with the NFL. AFC, NFC. Championship games going on.
I don't even want to say it because I feel like I'm just going to be proven wrong.
We've been terrible on predictions. You worse than me.
I predicted anything besides Houston beating Buffalo. But everything else.
I got Seattle over Philly. No, I've been about like 500 each week, which on Bet365 gets me nothing.
Negative 500.
All right, you want to start with Chiefs and Titans. In your opinion, do the Tennessee Titans have any chance at beating the Kansas City Chiefs, who are red hot right now?
I don't want to doubt them anymore. So I don't even want to pick against them. I'm going to pick Titans on this.
Whoa!
I'm telling you, I'm going to pick Titans in this game.
I was going to go odds, like out of
bro, they got
100%. What are the percentage you give them?
Derrick Henry on there.
Alright.
Things are done, bro.
Wow.
No one's been able to even slow him down, bro. What was last game? 170 something yards? Bro, if he does this again, just like they showed Tannehill, they don't even need him. They could have had the kicker be a quarterback at this point and do just as much.
Yo, hey, he made a couple good TD passes.
Yeah, that
do
one
not
run too. Yeah, that one rush for a touchdown.
Down to the right.
I don't know though. I'm just telling you, with Derrick
but
Henry,
that corner fade touchdown was
200
disgusting.
yards every time, every game, bro. You're kind of set. And I feel like he could do that to the Kansas City, what's it called?
Chiefs,
defense, bro. He could do that to their defense. So I'm calling Titans to beat them. Go to the Super Bowl. Hopefully, not hopefully. Probably win the championship.
Do you want to tell us why do you think that is, or just because you've gotten everything wrong and you think they have momentum?
That's what I
because
told
Chiefs
you,
have momentum.
I'm not gonna bet against them again. And Chiefs looked a little slow to start the game last game. They did. They finished strong with 51 freaking points, but
I mean, they didn't look slow. They looked horrendous.
Yeah.
But you knew as soon as they got to like 14 points, that was going on. Everything was going wrong, right? Like fumbles, dropped kick returns. It just wasn't going well for them, and they just started playing normal ball and not making stupid mistakes. I think the Chiefs are going to win, but for betting reasons, at plus 7.5, I'm taking spread. I'm taking Titans at plus 7.5. No, just on the spread.
Okay.
I don't think they're losing by 8 points. I think it's gonna be a close game, and I do give the Titans a good fighting chance in this game. Do not dismiss them.
You can't.
Do
At
not.
this point, you can't.
Even
They
if
beat
you
Patriots,
think the Chiefs,
defending champs, and they beat the best team in the NFL this year.
Okay, sure, we'll go with that.
Okay.
I'm not having that discussion now.
No. Tell me Baltimore's not the best team this year.
I think if Mahomes wasn't injured, Chiefs probably would have been best team in the league. But anyways, I don't want to explain that. But even what I'm saying is, even if you think the Chiefs are back to who everybody was expecting them to be before the season started, and Mahomes got injured and stuff started going wrong, and they lost 4 games, you cannot get past this Titan team that easy. All right, and it's the same MO. Chiefs defense has gotten better in the recent weeks leading up to the playoffs, but we've talked about the MO earlier this season when the Chiefs lost a couple straight games of how to beat them. So let's revisit that. And you're talking about Derrick King Henry, all right? When they lost to Indianapolis earlier this season, and
that's literally the game that came as soon as you said that came to my head.
The way to beat the Chiefs is rushing the ball, taking time off the clock,
exactly, slowing
and
it down.
Controlling possession.
That's a good one.
All right.
I completely forgot about that. Yeah.
And who's the king of that? King Henry. So when they lost to the Colts had 37-15 of the possession to the Chiefs 22-45.
Yeah.
Rushing yards 180 by the Indianapolis Colts. Let's move on to their next loss against the Houston Texans. All right. Again, possession 39-48 for the Texans, 20 minutes for the Chiefs. Rushing yards 192 for the Texans again. You see where I'm going with this, buddy?
Yeah.
Against Green Bay, when they lost, possession 33 minutes to 26. Not as big a discrepancy, but again, they controlled the play. Rushing yards 118. Not crazy, but they had a good, efficient night. And they have Aaron Rodgers. They're not going to run as much as those other teams.
Yeah.
And then the only one weird thing to me is when Tennessee did beat this team earlier on in this year. Made no sense. Possession, Kansas City killed them. 37-52 to 22-08.
Okay.
But the rushing yards, King Henry, 225 team rushing yards
220
for the team. That was the team's rushing
you.
yards.
Oh, team. Oh, I thought you said him.
No.
How did I not hear of this game?
That was the team's rushing yards.
How many did he?
And Patrick Mahomes was there at that game. He ran 36 of 50 because he's trying to catch up.
Yeah.
446 yards, 3 TDs, 119.3 passer rating. Derrick Henry had 188 yards, 2 TDs. 8.2 yards per average carry. For those reasons, that is the blueprint that was laid out by Indianapolis and then Houston and then Green Bay. And Tennessee's going to throw the ball even less than they did last time, letting Tannehill throw it 19 times against Kansas City last time. I would be surprised if he throws anywhere over 15 this game. And you never know. That Chiefs defense, and look who they went through, the Titans, right?
Exactly.
New England, the number 1 defense in the league. And Baltimore, everybody can agree their defense is better than the Chiefs' defense.
100%.
And the Chiefs, if you give me 1 second here, I believe we're in the bottom 5 for rushing defense this season. (26th). So yeah, bottom 5. I was correct. Well, there's 32 teams. So bottom 7. 26th worst rush defense in the league.
Bro, I'm sorry right now. After this show, I'm gonna go put a fucking big bet on Titans to win this game.
$12 big bet?
Huh?
$12?
I'm saying like 100.
Okay. You can bet me 100 if you want then.
What? And then the payoff won't be the same, bro. I'm sure the payoff will be way bigger.
If you go money line for them to win, yes. On spread, it probably not.
No, yeah, not on spread. But again, yeah. I forgot about that Colts game. I remember that's all they had to do. Slow the game down, keep running it.
That's what I've been telling you, bro.
You have the perfect guy to do it with. Wow.
It's lining up. Starts lining up. I said,
I'm convinced, bro.
I don't know if Titans is gonna win,
Chiefs
but
have no chance.
I'm sure as hell taking them plus 7.5.
You're taking who? Titans?
Yeah, plus 7.5 for sure. And take Derrick Henry, whatever the yards
King Henry, bro.
over under
I'm gonna
is.
say Derrick.
It's probably gonna be like something stupid like 130. Take the over.
Oh yeah, 100%. 100%.
All right, let's move
What
on.
did you have last game?
Hundreds, almost about 180.
Yeah.
He was the first running back to have like 3 straight games with like over 160 or 180 yards.
That's insane,
Nuts.
bro.
All right, moving on. Packers, 49ers. I'll get this one going. You got the last one going.
Yeah, let's go.
Taking the 49ers. I wish, before I tell you with details, I wish honestly that it was Seattle versus 49ers in this match. I think it would be a more entertaining game.
Well, we saw the season games were entertaining as fuck.
Down to the wire.
There you go.
Where the 49ers slapped the Packers earlier this season.
Yeah.
I would give the Seattle Seahawks more of a fighting chance because of Russell Wilson's escapability from the pocket.
Yeah,
right?
dual threat.
49ers have the best pass rush in the league, arguably. They got dogs that are coming at you. Aaron Rodgers cannot move like he used to. Against that Seattle game, he was just chilling in the pocket for the majority of the time.
Yeah, no pressure.
And slinging his passes.
There you go.
In this season, when we've seen Aaron Rodgers struggle, it's when he's been forced to become spectacular like he used to be.
Start moving, yeah.
And he's not been able to.
Exactly.
So I think the 49ers pass rush is just going to gobble him up. And unless their run game is crazy good with Aaron Jones, that's going to be tough because, like I said, their D-line is one of the best in the league. You look at their defensive stats, passing yards. 49ers are the best in the league. Least amount of passing yards against. Yeah. Rushing yards, they're 17th, so they're not as good. But I just think
and again,
the Packers might get eaten. They might keep it close, but I think at the end it's going to be a lopsided score.
I agree, man. I don't know. I feel like defense is going to be the story of this game. Again, how many yards did Garoppolo have last game? Not that many, right?
Not a whole ton. No, exactly. he had less than 200.
Yeah.
He had like
140 or something.
So he had like 11 completions.
Yeah.
And people, he wasn't tested. Nothing to me has been proven about Jimmy G. To me, he's a game manager, but sufficient quarterback in the Shanahan system.
Is the defense though? No.
Yeah.
And this is an old Aaron Rodgers we're talking about here. You know, he's not going to be able to move around that quick and start maneuvering in the pocket looking for an open pass. No, I feel like once that pressure comes at him, he's just going to fold.
So now here's the telling thing. I just told you Jimmy Garoppolo's a game manager. We both don't think he's elite. Last week didn't prove anything to that sort.
Exactly.
If you look at the season comparisons, Jimmy G to Aaron Rodgers, right? Yards. Aaron Rodgers, 4,002. Jimmy G, 3,978. Yeah. So, spinning distance, right? Less than 100. 40 difference. TDs, 27 Jimmy G to 26 for Aaron Rodgers. So now do you think that says, okay, Jimmy G's better than we thought? Aaron Rodgers isn't as good as he used to be? Yeah, I think they're both in the middle.
Yeah, exactly. You're kind of right about both.
You know, I don't think Jimmy G is better than what I think he is. I think he's good.
Stats is exactly why I thought
He's a franchise. He's a franchise quarterback in the sense where he's good enough to go on a run and potentially win you a Super Bowl. But when you have the weapons and the tools that the 49ers have, from Kyle Shanahan to that defense,
exactly,
to George Kittle, like they're stacked. So that's why it works for Jimmy G. And I liken this team to that Broncos team that took Peyton Manning to his last Super Bowl.
And I'm saying they kind of cancel each other out with those stats that you're saying. So like defensively, those two teams, I don't know. Like 49ers has just been on a tear right now. Aaron Rodgers not gonna be.
The game's gonna come down to
and
Aaron Jones, not Aaron Rodgers for the Packers.
Yeah.
If Aaron Jones can set the tone and go out there and get 100 yards, 120, and these actually need that much. Just start of the game, pound the rock, and if he opens up some rushing lanes, 8-10 yard runs, and then now they start playing run defense, and you get the play action going and move the pocket a little bit so Rodgers doesn't have to go too mobile, but he gets outside of the pocket where he can get some different passing lanes. Yeah. I think you really got to test the 49ers defense and be very creative, and Matt LaFleur is going to have to figure out some way to do that to give the Packers a fighting chance, because like I said, they got slapped by the 49ers earlier this year.
Yeah, I was going to say they kind of know that now, so maybe that is what they're having planned. Do some crazy tricks.
Potentially. All right, to wrap up, I think the Raptors still need a small forward at the trade deadline.
We want to get into that right now?
Just quickly.
All right. Yeah.
Right? We got a few minutes. There's no small forwards available as of right now.
Nope.
You think...
At least no one elite.
Yeah. You have a different opinion of what you think.
This is
and not so much a starting lineup, but in terms of the depth of the team.
What I'm talking about now is just recency bias almost. So, like, just from the last game I was watching against OKC, every time Larry was off the court, ball handling wise, we had no one.
Yeah.
It was kind of... They had Patrick McCaw at point guard, and they had...
Terrence Davis out,
and they had Anunoby out too. They didn't even try with Terrence Davis. They tried about 3 plays, I think, to run through McCaw. Got the ball stolen by one guy too, Dennis Schroeder. 3 times.
No handles.
Then let's inbound it to Anunoby. Guess who sneaks by again? Dennis Schroeder steals it off him as if he's a little child. I feel like ball handling is really where we're kind of lacking, especially taking the ball up. This was not even like making a play or anything. This was taking the ball up the court. They couldn't get through the halfway point without getting the ball stolen. That's kind of embarrassing to me, especially when you're playing OKC. I know you're defending champs. You have injuries and all this stuff, but like, you should be better. Then you shouldn't have these struggles with OKC. They went from winning by 21.
Whoa! You said NBA is about momentum, and who's been one of the hottest teams in the league the last 3 weeks?
Outside of Memphis?
OKC's been the hottest team the last 3 weeks. Memphis come on about the last 10 days.
Yeah, but look at the teams Memphis has beaten.
Okay, cool. But I'm saying
Clippers and Houston.
The Thunder have gone from a laughing stock to
I know they're going to make the playoffs. Going. But we
finish your point. Sorry, I just had to correct you on something.
We still won the game. Like, if anyone didn't watch the game, this probably sounds.
But it went from a 30-point lead to a 3-point lead.
Yeah, within 2 minutes.
Okay.
Because of huh? Well, it was 3-4 minutes.
We caught your drift.
But what I'm saying is, it was a lot of it came from ball handling, just that basic thing of just carrying the ball up the court. They had 4 turnovers in 2 minutes.
Now,
I don't know. It's just
I know a lot of people.
That's what I drew from the game, but again, I don't know. Maybe
I feel like people watching it thinking, Addis, what are you talking about? Fred's out with the back injury. When he comes back, all be good. He get 2 good ball handlers. But you got to remember, this is not the Raptors team of last year, the year before. Fred VanVleet is now in the starting lineup.
Yeah, exactly.
So unless you run it perfectly, where one of Kyle or Fred are on the court at all times, which then come fourth quarter, one of those guys is going to be absolutely gassed. You're still going to run into this issue. Terrence Davis, I don't think, is a playmaker or ball handler, like you said. And this goes back to why I was so upset that of the only part of I like JV, but the biggest part that ticked me off about that deal for Marc Gasol was giving away a guy like DeLon Wright. He was an unsung hero. One, his ball handling ability, and he had great Euro step to go to the hoop, good vision, but he can handle a lot of traffic and make some plays for his teammates. Yeah. And his defense capabilities, we all know he can guard 1 to 3. He's so long.
Exactly. Yeah.
And that's just going back. But I guess then you don't get Davis's shooting. Yeah. I think it's tough.
It is, but...
So let me pose this question to you. If D'Angelo Russell is available, Great ball handler. Minnesota Timberwolves are really trying to pry him out of Golden State.
Yeah.
Do you see a role for him on the Raptors?
Okay, great. That would be amazing. But what are you gonna lose? What are you gonna What are you giving up for him?
I don't know what Golden State would want back. Probably not a 1 or a 2, because Steph and Clay will be back next season.
Yeah.
If they want Siakam, they're crazy.
That's what it is, though. That's what I was trying to get at. It's Siakam they want. Because if you have Clay and Curry coming back...
They can take OG and Anunoby.
That's not going to be enough for D'Angelo Russell.
Take Norman Powell, too. Take Norman Powell.
Anunoby and Powell?
Yeah. Now, Powell's a guy I liked the way his game is shaped up prior to a shoulder injury, and even the last couple games back.
But
for whatever reason, which I think Nurse should do. I don't know what Nick Nurse's affection is for Patrick McCaw. It drives me absolutely nuts that he plays this guy 25 to 30 minutes a night. He should be playing 7 to 8 minutes. But the fact that he'll never have the offensive Kyle's not on the floor right now with Fred injured, let Powell see if he can orchestrate something.
Yeah.
Never happens.
Maybe.
In my opinion, he's a much better ball handler and probably has better vision than Pat McCaw. But Nick Nurse is the coach, not us, for a reason.
Hey, Patrick McCaw, 3 years in the NBA, 3 championships? Are we talking about the same guy? I'm kidding. I don't know. It's because when he first started playing him, to start, McCaw, he actually did pretty well. But they only played him at like 15 minutes, maybe under.
Yeah, I liked this game to close out last season.
Playing him 20 is a little crazy. I don't know.
All right. Anything else you want to just throw in there? Oh.
What?
Oh, we're both taking Connor to win. There's no taking money from you there. I'll give you odds.
What are the odds?
I'll take Connor. He wins. You give me 20. If Cerrone wins, I'll give you 60.
No, I don't, bro. I'm telling you right now. The best Cerrone shows up, he does not beat a mediocre Connor.
Usually you go for those types of bets, and I always win them, so I had to try.
Yeah. Probably. If it was anyone else, I would have gone for it. But I sound like I love Donald Sterling. I sound like a hater of him, but I've just watched him for so long that I know how this fight's gonna play out. Yeah. I just seen it play out before in my head.
We know. We'll see tomorrow night, Saturday, pay-per-view on ESPN.
I'm sure everyone's gonna be watching
UFC 246 live from Las Vegas.
Sir.
All right. From Adis Kuchevich, I'm Jay Ball. We're now out of the mix. Thanks for watching.